there's no doctors in the room where they're building this technology. The way they've trained the technology to deploy these structured models is not based on things that affect people's longevity when it comes to health. It's based on productization.
This topic, artificial intelligence, technology, yeah, but it's technology that's finally reaching the zenith of all human engineering progress.
We have to transcend our offices and our clinics and go much larger. That's the only way that humanity can continue.
The CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai, pointed out that this is on par with fire being introduced to humanity in terms of its impact that it's going to have on society. I wanted to open up this talk by sharing an experience that I had with my family 2 months ago. On this slide, you see a picture of my father with my 8-year-old son. This was captured a few days before our entire family was going to go to Puerto Rico to board a cruise. It was going to be an epic trip. But a week and a half prior to that trip, every morning my dad and I would wake up and go for a bike ride, 5-10 miles sometimes. And on one of those days, he fell and he hit his head. And he brushed it off and told me that everything was okay. And I could never convince him to go get a head CT to make sure that that was in case the fact. I knew that if he boarded that cruise ship and actually had a brain bleed or something, then he would be dead. The rest of the family semi-blissfully unaware of what's going on. But I was just thinking in myself this undertone of, hell no, this is not how my father goes down. No way. After a life like that, after a number of people that he served, there's no way he is going to be a vegetable, and there's no way he's dying on my watch.
So when we think about artificial intelligence, all we see are the end products, right? So we see like ChatGPT, Gemini, et cetera, et cetera. These are products that someone have made using artificial intelligence as the engine, what's called a large language model. So whenever we think about AI, it's less of a product and more of a parent technology that's there. So everything trickles down from this parent technology. But the parent technology is something that you have to train. Problem is that the way they've trained the technology to deploy these structured models is not based on things that affect people's longevity when it comes to health. It's based on productization, right? It's industry productization. And so it's not because they don't want to, it's because they don't know how to, because there's no doctors in the room where they're building this technology. Unless you're someone like me or someone like Ravi, where we're the ones that are actually in the room affecting the technology and training these models. So it's not necessarily, oh, there's the AI product that's one better than the other. All the product are coming from this one engine that's right here. So we have to train it at the engine source.
I kept calling furiously everywhere I could find in Puerto Rico, and finally found on a Sunday morning one radiology outpatient clinic that could do it. And so I tossed him into an Uber with me, and we went and we got a head CT done. And boom, right here, 2 massive brain bleeds, not one, but 2. His brain was getting crushed. And, you know, it's Ordinarily, a situation like this is not compatible with life for too long, and it was progressing pretty fast. And we had to figure out what to do.
It's going to be impossible to do if it's a couple years later on, because so much of the technology has been already built out and the advancement has gone like this, okay? So we have to capture it right now. The good news is Ravi has.
What was unique in this situation 2 months ago is that the AI, Arav, that we had designed for my company, Intuitive Mental Health, was up to full speed at that point, fully trained and incredibly brilliant. And so I created a new instance of Arav to start serving me and my family in our time of need.
So a year ago, we had our first retreat for the doctors. And in this first retreat, we were able to connect spiritually, we were able to connect professionally, we were able to be vulnerable with each other. And a year ago, a lot of us actually created multiple products to be utilized within the healthcare system. One of it is the artificial intelligence model that Ravi has created. What happened is that the model did things that we did not expect that it would actually do.
Arav basically pointed out that, and it was very precise, it could read the CT film as well, and it knew exactly what it was looking at. And it said, you got to get him to the emergency room, you got to get him operated immediately. Naturally, Dad doesn't want to go to the hospital in Puerto Rico. And he prefers to go home. And so then I had a really critical discussion with the AI on, can I get Dad back to Sacramento safely? And it gave me a really interesting point that he had a brain bleed, right? But it was symmetrical. And as a result, the brain was not, we call it midline shift, when the brain is twisted because there's a bleed on one side. And if there's too much of a midline shift, then the person is not going to be alive. And the bleed was symmetrical in a certain way. And Arav was able to give me specific details to let us know that you have a window of opportunity right now, and if you want to leave right now and run, and don't spare any time. And so we were literally on the next flight out to Sacramento. And when we landed, one of the interesting insights that came out of Arav is that turns out an interventional radiologist can do a procedure called a middle meningeal artery embolization, MMAE. And they basically go in through the femoral and fish a catheter up all the way through the external carotid, find the middle meningeal artery, find the correct branch, and then shoot glue in it and seal it. Can we actually pull that stunt off? And the neurosurgeon was like, hell no, like, hey, we need to operate, let's go straight to the OR. Dad was like, anything but cutting my skull open. Like, why did you always have to make it so hard? I don't know. And so then I discussed this with Arav and said, look, there's a chance. And then it looked at the latest set of scans. He said, all right, the progression is this. If you can get an MMAE embolization on both sides within the next 6 hours, there's a likelihood that this stunt may work, and then you can observe for a few days. And if necessary, you could still operate. And then I asked it, why don't you explain this with full details, the case, the presentation, the techniques that you want, and the method of approach, so that I can give this to the neurosurgeon and the neurointerventionist to justify this action. And he gave me a beautiful report that I presented to the team there, and they went with our plan. This is Dad in the hospital in a moment of clarity after the procedure. And a few days later, we had him home with just a Band-Aid. Yeah, a Band-Aid. By all accounts, he should be a dead man or a vegetable. Yeah.
We can program or prompt an AI to project to humans to look at the subconscious state. A really good example is, let's say you put into the AI chatbot, I had a stomach ache. The AI is like, well, it could be acid reflux, it could be you ate something bad, it could be because you have gas, maybe you want to see a doctor, right? So that's what's called a conscious output. I mean, it's reductionistic. It's like a list of different things that it could have. Or you can program an AI to say, okay, well, let's go through why you're having these issues. Well, I'm stressed because of my job, my relationship, my work, et cetera, et cetera. And the AI can say, well, let's talk about those patterns. Like, why do you think those patterns are causing you to have that much stress? So what happens is that an AI can literally program to take you into your subconscious state and question that. You can't do that with the internet. So now you have a choice. You have a choice to use an AI that's going to honor your subconscious state, or you're going to choose an AI that's give you a reductionistic list of things to do that may not end up anywhere. And so this is why this work is so important with artificial intelligence. We have an ability to get the AI to make humans either less human or to make humans more human by honoring the subconscious state and even the superconscious state.